And as far as in terms of the how the offseason went, in your opinion, did the White Sox really address? I mean, this is a team to me that looks like it's one injury away from collapsing. From my blunt opinion, it just seems like in terms of you have a couple players and Dylan Cease and Lucas Giolito who are on MLB's top 100, on ESPN's top 100. So there's some good talent there. But as far as the offseason goes, do you think that Chicago did enough to address the depth?
No, I don't think they ever do enough. I mean, it's hard to address depth with 40-man roster space, right? Your depth kind of has to be prospects and guys that you can option up and down, and they don't really have that luxury right now. I mean, I wanted them to let Jose Abreu walk just because I didn't really think he fit with the now, could you make the argument to trade Andrew Vaughn and pay Jose Abreu? Maybe, but those two couldn't coexist with Eloy Jimenez on the same team, and I wanted them to get left-handed in both corners. It seems like they're going to do so. So they're going to be more balanced, but I mean, it's a team that's just hurt all the time. If they're healthy, I think they can win the Central for sure. But like you said, you're relying on guys that haven't played full seasons and they don't have much depth. So did they do enough? I mean, no, but the payroll's really high. It wasn't going to go much higher. So I was actually surprised, I guess in a positive way, that they signed Benintendi. Not that he's the perfect player. I just kind of expected them to kind of patch it together with something cheaper. So the fact that they even spent there, I was a little bit surprised. Yeah. I keep talking about health because that's kind of what it depends on. There's a lot of White Sox fans that get down on Luis Robert because he's pretty frustrating, at times, because he doesn't lay off bad sliders. And you guys have seen these players, right? But he's so talented that even with doing that, he's a 290 career hitter that plays Gold Glove defense in center field. So if Luis Robert plays 140 games, he's a 5-WAR player. He's going to be really good. Sometimes very frustrating. He gets a lot of big hits off good pitching, but he'll also come up and swing at 3 straight pitches, and go sit down other times. So I think it just comes down to how many games he can play. If it's less than 100 games, they're probably in a lot of trouble. And if he plays 130 plus, they're in pretty good shape because he's pretty good.
What kind of upgrade do you think the managerial role plays for this team this year?
Oh, huge. I think you could be in the dugout and it would be an improvement. And I just met you. The Tony thing was very frustrating, more so because it seemed like the front office was, and look, the front office has their own shortcomings and they've been in place for 20 years, right? So if you wanted to clean out the whole thing, there's not many White Sox fans that would be upset with that. But they built this team so that they could move on from Rick Renteria and hire their own guy. And then the owner hijacked the process and put his buddy in charge. And look, then you kind of talk yourself into it, right? Because it's it's Tony La Russa. How bad could it be, right? And I kind of thought from 7 to 10 every night, Tony would be fine. And he would have issues with the players. It was the opposite. He was totally fine with the players. He ran a weekend at Bernie's team where there was no leadership or no anything. And, as everybody kind of saw, he was terrible. I mean, it was basically Willie Mays on the Mets. So I've always kind of been a managers are overrated guy. I think I've changed my tune a little bit after seeing Tony La Russa the last 2 years. But yeah, no, I think it'll make a big difference. I mean, obviously the players have to be healthy and play. That's the biggest thing. But
absolutely,
there's just so many things and instances where stuff was just counterintuitive. Frank Menachino was the hitting coach. He took a beating. Hitting coaches always take a beating. I know, the guy, in Detroit too, that used to be with the White Sox did too. And it's just Scott Coolbaugh you guys had, right? But
yeah.
And it's being a major league hitting coach is freaking impossible, right? But I mean, he had a good message of plate patience and homers and this and that. And then, you have the 76-year-old manager that's, hey, don't be afraid to poke one the other way. So it's just mixed messaging all the time and along with injuries and everything else. And you kind of saw what happened to the 2022 White Sox because of it. And even with all that, they were still a 500 baseball team somehow.